what we can call the modern economy came into Africa, there was always one person who went out somewhere working. And because they were working, many other people are going to depend on that working person. So the working professional. And it has continued on like that. So if you're working professional, you feel obligated to maybe support your parents, support your siblings, or even members of the extended family one way or the other. And we know how many families have one person is working maybe here in the country, they go to the Gulf world, they go to the US or whatever, and that comes in. So it's not a legal obligation. It is not there by a law. But millions of working Kenyans in all other places are involved in this exercise. So it's a very deeply cultural and emotional one, and it weighs the growing of a lot of people. And I think there's been a research I saw last year, I think the Kenya Financial Inclusion Survey of last year, and said about 68% of working people feel this pressure. You can actually hear 68%. That's a big number of people who feel this pressure, who will have to support somebody here or somebody there. Like I said, it is not wrong. It is something that will happen. What's happening, I think, that makes it worse is there's a lot of misuse, just like the case you have cited, where one person is weighed down completely by others because they are too lazy to keep a job, they are not doing something. And in my practice, I've had a bit of that, where people come in, they're very stressed, and what's the issue? They're supporting people who just sit home and watch tele. And I think that makes it really worse. Just for you to have a feel, I think on average last year, the amount of remittances working professionals did was a monthly average of 12,800. That's the amount of average that was flowing in that space. And normally we're looking at young professionals here. Those are the ones who talk a lot about Black Act. And it's got a lot of impact. One, obviously, and I think you did mention this, it erodes our ability to save, because that money that goes up would have saved. And it delays our investment journey. So we're not able to think about home ownership, maybe owning a car, maybe upgrading ourselves. And evidently, when you see your age mates are moving and you're slow, it raises a lot of issues like anxiety, stress, and a lot of hidden costs. And you've talked about the medical ones, where people even feel pulled down to an extent that some people feel that this is not the right thing for me. I think I need to give up, and so that people even have suicidal tendencies or mental health issues. And that's why today we want to say, how do we deal with this thing? We are not going to be able to get out of it.
Oh.
You cannot deny who you are.
Is it a duty and a burden? All in equal measure?
I think it's both of them. Like you said, who are you supporting? Yeah, sometimes it's your parents. What does the Bible tell me? I should honor my father and my mother. So that's an obligation you have. And sometimes when they say you need to educate your little sibling, you're still honoring them. But there are people who extend it too far. And that's what we're saying. Because we have to live with it, how do we manage it? So the first tip we can always give is that we need to set boundaries, because boundaries is your first line of defense. Relative cannot manage experiences, expectations they don't know exist. So declaring clear limits early of what can I do. We are setting boundaries before these things keep escalating and getting many. So the most effective way is to actually set boundaries. You want to keep your details private. Don't let them know how much you earn. Don't let them know your payday. They should not. Because the moment they know how much you earn, they will start counting the money for you. And they will say, yes, you are earning 100,000. Me nakuitisha tu ngiri tano. You see, you are left with 95.
Yeah.
But they don't know your other obligations. Don't tell them you paid on 30th, because it is on that 30th that they will make a call. Because numbers invite negotiation. When you know the numbers, if this guy is earning 200, hata 5,000 ni kidogo sana. So unajua unaweza nipatia ngiri 10. So they start negotiating. So, and when you are vague generosity is going to invite endless requests. When you are vague in your generosity, they have no idea where you're working from. So some of the basic things we should do, you should declare a no-share rule. you're not going to share your pay date. You're not going to share exact earnings. That's private. So you must have that rule. None of them needs to know those details. You don't have to. You can actually write to yourself what we call a personal boundary charter. You know, you're saying, I will not give more than 15% of my income. Whatever the circumstances, not more than 15% of my income. So you set that percentage yourself. And we're saying it is tough love here. You will have to help them, but you cannot help them with everything. Okay, and you need to practice what is called the firm but kind script. Yes, I love you. I want to help you, but I can only contribute 5,000 this month. So you're very clear. Yes, I want to help you, but I can only do this. And we need to be consistent. Don't keep changing. Don't make it a game. Once you set the rule, be there. Because you know what? Two broke people cannot help each other. If you actually make yourself broke, how then do you help them? So set the limits. It is not selfish. It is actually what we call strategic generosity. So you're setting the limits. So that's the first thing. We need to set ourselves a boundary. If we set ourselves a boundary, it gets clear. And what have we said? Keep the secrets that you need to keep to yourself. Set yourself a charter. How much of my income will I be able to give out in supporting others? Okay. Yeah. Be firm. Be firm in what you say, and stick. Be consistent. Don't be this time you're helping. Next time you're not helping. Now the second one is you need to prioritize your own goals. Anybody who has flown, something interesting they tell you before the flight takes off. Mm-hmm. They'll tell you where the oxygen masks are. They'll tell you where the safety gear is. But there's something they say very interesting. Before you help others, help yourself. Mm-hmm. You cannot be trying to get people to put on their oxygen masks if yours is not there, because you're going to be a casualty. In this case, we are also saying that aeroplane oxygen mask principle need to apply to personal finance. You must secure your own financial breathing before you assist others. So you cannot be assisting others when you have not secured yourself. So, and this is where we have a concept, you say, pay yourself first. It is not greed when you're saying pay yourself first. It is responsible stewardship, and that makes it possible for you to give. So what we are saying, there are a few things you need to do for yourself. Like number one, you need to set up your emergency fund. Without an emergency fund, if you are assisting them and something happens, you drop, you lose your income. And people lose their income. I mean, with these rains, how many people have lost their income?
Thousands.
They're not going, thousands. They're not going to. And when the week after, you can't go to the people you are assisting to assist you. So you need to be able to set an emergency fund. Some expense, some money that can actually be able to take care of you for 6 months or 3 months if your income is not there. You can open a money market fund. You can put it in an account somewhere. That's very, very, very important for you. The other thing is, if you're part of, if you're able to join a retirement program, because one of the biggest challenge we are seeing now is a lot of people who have gotten to the retirement age and don't have enough provisions for themselves. And what are they doing? They are reverting back to the children. Because you don't want to perpetuate this to the next generation, then it is important that you make your contribution to your retirement scheme. Whether it's a personal pension program, whether it is NSSF, whether it is adding a bit more or to your employer, your future is your responsibility. I think that's the way I want to put it. Your future is your responsibility. If you want to do the other investments, maybe you want to set up put a down payment so that one day you can own a home, make it a priority. Once you have done that, then you can actually be able to make your black tax contribution to the family after you have put in a few things for yourself. So it is important for us to understand that that is the way we need to go, so that then we can be able to secure ourselves as we are securing others. So we set boundaries. We also said tip number 2, we are paying ourselves first. The third tip is we need to build a dedicated black tax budget. This thing is not going to go away. So we're saying if you find in your family you're the one doing better than everybody else, it is not going to go away. It is going to be there, because you cannot comprehend a situation where things are desperate back at home, but you're just in town enjoying life. That will not work at all. So we need to treat family support as a planned budget item line. So as you're doing the things that you're doing, it is a budget, is a planned budget line. It's not a surprise expense. And you want to transform your relationship with black tax entirely if you do that. So when you know exactly how much is allocated, you're not going to have the guilt-driven overspending because it is likely to happen if you do not have it. So you have fixed an amount and you set it. And you can actually be able to say to yourself, I will keep this as part of my sinking fund. So I have it somewhere. So it's a dedicated family support account. So in your budget line, you know the way you have budget line, you have transport, you have housing, so you also have family support in there. And so it's sort of like you're having a saving jar, or you have a separate account for that. And you keep the money away from you. Don't keep it in your normal money. Keep it away. And that's why I'm saying maybe a money market fund will do that for you, so that it is away from you. And this amount is going to be based on what was your boundary charter, like you said. How much have you said? If you're saying 15%, then you have a specific sum. So you know at the end of the month, I need to transfer 6,000 or 5,000 or 2,000 or 10,000, depending on what it is, to this account automatically, so it goes into your sinking fund. Now, transparency always curbs surprise demands. When key family members know the exact monthly limit, they can plan around it rather than an escalating request. So you sharing the ceiling with the relatives who are concerned. Me, the only thing I can afford is 4,000 shillings. So hata mkiitisha, mi nikilipa 4,000, pesa yangu imeishia hapo. So that becomes important. So we build it as part of our budgeting process, so it stops being a surprise. Now, the other thing that we want to do, if you can, because now you know how much it is, we can actually be able to save it automatically. You know the way we save for pension, we save for SACCO, we save for education for our children? Mm-hmm. You can actually put it on checkoff. You can actually put it on your standing order in the bank, because you're very, very clear how much is going into that account. When you move that, you remove the manual decision on payday. You don't have to keep wondering, na hiyo pesa ninayo, do I have it? You're going to eliminate that guilt-driven overspending and ensure your priorities are funded before their time. So it becomes easier. Remember, what we are doing is we are creating a small fund, that sinking fund. We can actually be able to do that, because this is going to be recurring, because manual financial decisions, they actually give you emotional pressure. You know, every time somebody is borrowing and you're giving it to them, you feel that emotional pressure. We are taking away that so that then we can be able to, yes, we can do our generosity, but we are not going to be able to struggle. So that's the fourth tip. You sort of automate it, so you safely having it somewhere. The number 5 is the tough one. Can you imagine having an open, honest conversation with the people you support?
It's not easy.
It is not easy. But silence breeds assumption. When you're silent, they actually think you have it. When relatives don't understand your financial reality, they fill the gap with their own story. And you know what they do? They inflate their estimates. They overestimate your income because of the way they see you from a distance. They do not know which things you're buying because you have a loan. You know, they will see you have a nice car, you're living in a nice estate, your children are going to a good school. And in their mind, they will say, this person is roughly earning X money. So they have more expectation. So maybe having just a short 20-minute call with the ones you're working with. If you're supporting somebody, you have a call, and in that call, maybe a quarterly meeting, you reset expectations with facts. Remember, you have already agreed what the amount is. So you can schedule a virtual meeting or in-person meeting once per quarter. The agenda is very simple. You want to look at the income snapshot. You want to look at the support remits, and you want to look at upcoming family needs. So numbers earn more respect than fake refusals. Because there are times, you know, you'd have to let people know, my child is going to the next class. I have this obligation. So for the next month, I cannot be able to support anybody. Because that's what the numbers are saying. I need to raise this amount of fees. So when I explain my budget, they respect the numbers more than just saying I can't. And I think that's what somebody called Job said when they were asked that question. So you can introduce monetary help. That's the other thing. It doesn't have to be monetary. Sometimes we think money is what people need. You know, you might be having your cousin and they're done with college and they're looking for a job. But you know what? Sometimes all they need is job referrals. you are in the job market, you have an idea what's the better place. Sometimes what you need to do is to do a CV review for them, because their CV is not marketable. That's why they're applying and nothing is going. Sometimes it is skill training or connecting to maybe places where they can get value. There are many training programs online that they can actually get trained, and some of these things they can get skills that can actually help them to earn a bit of money. So having an honest conversation, in fact finding out exactly what they need instead of just sending money, will also be something very, very helpful to do. Now, the other tip, and this is very, very important, like I said, this is a way of life. We need to empower relatives through education and skills, maybe not giving them money most of the time. The most powerful way to stop perpetuating black tax is to create independent earners, people who are independent, earning within your family. So you want to do some strategic investment, like in your sibling education or the skills, because that way you're going to reduce the request over time. It's a far better way to have returns than just giving cash handout. So cash handout is not only the best thing. And so there are a couple of things you might see. This person has qualified and they've been admitted maybe to a DVET college or to a university. And you can actually decide it is a tougher job, but I'll take up that in full. I'll make sure they're done with college. Or they are done with the course. Because when they are done with course, they will be able to do much better. They might actually be able to earn much faster than if you just supported them. If you're doing fragmented school fees, you're paying this term, then you don't pay next term. All the days maybe they are out of school because there was no school fees. They are losing in study. So they might get even a poorer grade. And that means you will have a bigger problem long term. What if you took up the whole burden and you said, okay, I can afford this. This one, I'll take them through school. And because I'm taking this one through school, now nobody else should put a request on me. This is my project. That's what I'm going to do. By the end of the day, you end up getting better results, because chances are that will be a solid person. That will be somebody who is earning. It might take you 3-4 years to go through that, but you save yourself the agony of being there 10 years down the line with them always looking for handouts. Maybe that is too expensive, that's not very affordable. We can look at sponsoring a skill, what we call a skills boot camp. There are many short programs people can be able to take, and that can give them skills that can make them earners. You're looking at things around digital marketing. Somebody can learn digital marketing. That doesn't have to take a lot of time. Maybe solar installation. We have what we call coding boot camps. And this, when people learn this within a short time, they will be able to generate some income. And so you are transforming a dependent into a contributor. So they become a contributor all the time. This is important. And when you get somebody in that line, we always say, track the outcomes. Track the outcomes. When you assisted somebody this way, what did you get? What worked for you? Because if you find a working formula, then that gets easier and it validates your strategic investment. Anybody who's ever done this will tell you this is a better way. If you have found yourself saying, let me take this person, I'll take them to a driving school until they study and they become a driver, they have a license. That will give you, or they go to a masonry school, or they go to something that's going to give them practical skills, so that then you're not stuck in that space forevermore. And I think if you look at families where people have been able to get themselves skills, this whole issue of depending on other people actually get smaller and smaller. And now, tip number 7 is about financial tools to reduce informal pressure. When family emergencies arise, the pressure defaults to whoever has visible cash. When something happens in the family, the phone calls will come from a number of people. So formal instruments shift that dynamic. So you give yourself access to structured resources that don't drain your salary or account on credit. And this is what we're saying. Sometimes, you join a circle. And I think this for me is a talk to the Gen Z, because I see a couple of them don't believe in things like enrolling in the circle. Because if you get into that situation where you need to borrow, now here you will have a way of borrowing where you will be able to get low cost debt. The debt will not be very, very expensive. And even if you don't borrow, that's a savings for you. It's going to give you a dividend in there. And you can choose other investments where you actually know you'll be earning some dividend, and with that dividend now you can actually be able to support the people. So instead of supporting the people directly, if you put your money, say, in a circle, if you put yourself some money in investments like VUCA, and I know we've discussed VUCA here before, you will get some return. Maybe that's the return that you're going to use so that you can be able to support somebody. So, but the other thing that's important here, sometimes you don't have to give people handouts. You can give them a loan. You know, there are people who you need to give a loan. You give a simple loan with a written agreement, with clear expectations of what's the loan and how much are you going to get back from them. So those are what we call formal tools. So you're looking at, if I had an emergency, where would I get the money? If I'm investing, can I get somewhere where I'll get a dividend? Can I be able to have a family loans, which you formalize in written agreements? Yes, get them into an agreement so that they can accommodate there and keep your records very, very well. So that's going to make it easier than you handling cash all the time. When relatives know you operate through structured channels, the demand decreases surprisingly. When they know they'll borrow 10,000, but you'll ask them to sign an agreement. They don't want to come tomorrow, because now they have tied their hands. And I have a friend of mine who told me another very good formal tool. You know, if you're a married person, don't hand the money yourself. Ask your spouse to do it.
Okay.
Yes. Let them receive it from your spouse.
You use your wife.
So you see, there's the family where you come from, and there's the family where she comes from.
Sure.
If you're helping people in the family where she comes from, the money will come from me.
Okay.
If you're helping people in the family where I come from, the money will come from her. Surprisingly, the ones that don't make sense just drop off.
It minimizes the conflict.
Yes, it minimizes the conflict because we are open to each other, what we are doing. But the other side of the family don't want that kind of arrangement if their request is not genuine. If it is genuine, they will not mind. But when it is not genuine, you will find those demands will decrease. Okay. And you're not going to have a lot of issues. So this is what you're calling formal financial tools, like you're working with your spouse around that area. So they are not difficult things, but because the problem is like the one you mentioned. Can you imagine that lady is going through hell? Because these people know her payday.
Sure.
They know how much she earns. So it's like on payday, they are sitting at the veranda waiting for you to come. Now you got this 20,000. Once I let Ngari this and this and this, and that makes them very lazy. Yeah, they have debts that you need to pay for them. Okay, if that money was not coming straight from that little girl to her siblings, I think that would be very, very helpful. Tip number 8 here is about protecting our mental health. I think you mentioned this, how black tax can lead us into a lot of problems. Because financial stress from black tax is one of the leading triggers for burnout. You know, burnout is that place where you feel, I've done it, I have no more to do, and you almost give up. And there's a lot of people who are having mental health because of this. And so sometimes you're not even productive at work. You don't like yourself. You don't like your career. You're wondering, but you know what? You cannot stop being part of that family. You have that part of the brand. So without intentional mental health practices, the emotional weight of being the family financial anchor can erode your performance at work and your joy at home. Now, if it erodes your performance at work and your joy at home, you know you just work because work has to be done. And there are a lot of people frustrated by this. Some are outside the country. You know, you take in the trouble. You're in the Middle East and you know the risks they are running now. But when you look at your finances, you're actually wondering, why did I come into this desert place? What brought me here? Others are in the US. Have you seen how terrible the weather is? Sure. It's so cold. And then you find you're actually wondering, what am I doing? And every money I give them, and every time I go back to see what they're doing, I don't see what they've done with the money. And that is what gives people a lot of burnout. So one of the things is we need to schedule what we call non-negotiable me time. You need to have time for yourself. Maybe a 30-minute daily walk, just for you and yourself. You know, a meditation session. So some creative hobby that is not a luxury. You're saying, take care of yourself. It is maintenance of the engine, because you are the engine the family is depending on. Maintain yourself. Take care of yourself. Don't just neglect yourself. Don't always feel pressure. The other thing is you can seek peer support. Yes, you can join networks, like the young professionals. It's called the Kenya Young Professionals Group, where people actually link up on LinkedIn, on chat, on Google. And sometimes people have a discussion around this where members share their boundary setting experiences, the practical strategies of how they are able to deal with this. It is in such a forum that I got that concept of working with a spouse. And sure, it works very well when you're working with a spouse. But the other thing is you might need professional help. You might need professional help. If you feel it is pulling you down, you're having anxiety spikes around the family request. Sometimes you see a message and you get irritated. Sometimes you see you see the situation and you're all teary. You're tearing. Now, those are not good things to keep yourself. So you need the sessions. You can be able to join a group if there's a group. If there's no group, this is where you actually would have to look for a professional, a therapist. Go and sit with a therapist and get help. If you think yours is not mental, yours is financial. That's why you go to a financial advisor or financial coach. You look at how to restructure your finances. So that becomes a very, very important way to deal with that. And so, you see, we've looked at a couple of tips, and I think I want to look at maybe one or two more, because I know our time is running out, and there might be a question or two that
you have quite a number of questions.
I have questions. I will be able to ask the questions. Let me finish with
you
the tip.
You will not escape.
Let me deal with tip number 9. Okay. Now, long-term solution to black tax is outgrowing it. It's a weird statement to say.
Yeah.
By expanding your income streams and building assets that will generate passive income, so that when your financial capacity grows, you are able to reduce your choice rather than the sacrifice. If you have more, ideally now you don't have to sacrifice because you have enough. So one of the ways is building that more. You want to be able to have more. So you need to look at a way, how can I be able to do more? How can I be able to invest more? How can I be able to monetize more so that I have more? If you have more, the chance of giving and not feeling the effect is very, very big. So that's the other thing we need to consider. What are the things I can do so that I can be able to build more? Then now the tip number 10 is building generational wealth. And I think this is where now, looking at intergenerational, and I think, Chris, you must have heard this. If anybody is a millennium or this is X. And so, millennium is Gen Y and Gen X. You're the last ones to support your parents. You don't expect support from your children. So that must start getting very clear.
The harsh reality.
The harsh reality, and if you have your Caucasian friends, they will tell you when these people turn 18, if they stay home, they pay rent.
Oh.
Can you imagine charging your children rent because they're staying home? If they don't want to pay rent, they go. They go and look for their own accommodation somewhere else. Now, we are slowly getting into that space. So what's the solution? Building generational wealth. That is the solution. So you're looking at a way where you will have your own retirement financing programs. So you don't have to depend on your children. So if you don't depend on your children, they don't have to pay back.
What if they want to come and squander whatever you've...
When you're gone, that's their business.
No, you're not gone. You're there.
When you're there, you have controls. What are they squandering? You're in charge.
They're squandering whatever you saved for you.
I'm saying you are in control. You can decide not to give them. Let them go hungry. They can stay on water. They will learn how to work. People just make children look like toys. No. If somebody doesn't get the meal, what will they do? They will not sit in the house the whole day. They will walk down the street. And again, we are looking at maybe raising responsible children. Now, we're saying you can actually look at how to break this cycle. And breaking this cycle means you don't want to get into debt, you don't want to get into black tax obligations. So if you create transgenerational wealth, and like you said, Chris, if you think they're going to squander the wealth, you can actually open a family trust. So it's not them managing the assets are managed away from them. Because this is somewhere where we have to look at how do we build these things. So just before I answer the question, I think we can easily say we have talked about the very different tips. Because black tax doesn't have to drain your future. I think people confuse it for draining their finances. The biggest risk is draining your future.
Okay.
So when you have the right systems, you have the boundaries, you have the mindset, you can become a strategic, sustainable partnership, one that is going to honor your roots, because you cannot deny your roots while you're building your life so that you can actually create better. So set boundaries, declare your limits early, and protect your salary information. Pay yourself first. Fund the things that are important for you. Number 2, we said make it part of the budget, automate that money movement. Put it in your sinking account and be sure it is there when it is going to be. Become good at communicating and also become good at empowering the other people. And the last thing is grow and protect. Grow, diversify your income, generate wealth, and guard your mental health. I think when you do those things, we can actually be much better. And that's why, Chris, every day when I get a chance, I invite people for financial literacy programs. And we have a financial literacy program. It's called the Wealth Creation Masterclass. And this week, we are actually looking at debt and debt management. So anybody who wants to benefit, I can give them a free chance to come to class for 2 hours. It's a virtual class. It's on Zoom. And you can always be able to get a chance. Come and see how can you use debt to better yourself. So the number to get yourself the link is 0708 150 137. 0708 150 137. Yes, you get the link because it is on Zoom. It is today at 7 to 9, and you can actually be able to learn something. But let's answer the question because we just have a few minutes before we finalize.
This one is from Susan in Dubai, and Asema, tell him giving relatives loans is the worst thing to do because you'll become enemies forever. Susan from Dubai.
Susan is completely right. Completely right. Don't give relatives loans. But what I was saying is, instead of it being consistent support, they want you to give money to open a shop. They want you to give money to do this. Why don't you actually get into arrangement? Instead of giving it for free, make it a loan.
Make it alone.
And agree how to pay. You are going to give it anyway. So even if they don't pay, you're okay. You are going to give it. But when people know it's a loan, they get a better commitment for it. But I'm not saying go out of the way and start giving family loans. No. Show them where they can get the loan. That's why they need to join the circle. That's why they need to go to the government funding programs. And there are many, Nyota and others. So don't give them. But if you have to give them money, maybe to open a business, to do something, it helps if you give them as a loan. Even children, yeah, it helps to give them as a loan. They'll be obligated. And you know what it does? If I came to you, Chris, and you gave me 10,000 as a loan, and I don't pay, you know I have lost the moral position to come for more money from you.
You will
I
not.
have closed that door. I have no business coming to bother you.
You will not.
Yeah. But if I pay, now you see our partnership is better. You can even loan me more.
Okay. The second one is, what if the wife demands to know how much the husband earns, yet she's not working?
For your wife and your children, it is not black tax.
She wants to know how much the husband
husband
earns.
and wife, and you took your vows. What was the declaration? You have to be honest to each other. What else can I say? That's not black tax.
She will also start making budgets on your money.
In fact, she had better know so that she makes realistic budgets.
Realistic budgets?
Yes. Again, people know each other. So you know how much disclosure you need to do and how much disclosure you don't have to.
Okay. Somebody else is saying that topic is a red hot one. You're touching so many souls today. That is Irongo for you.
Thank you, Irongo. We know this thing. We all deal with it. We get confused around it. But I told you, this is who we are.
Okay.
Ubuntu. I am because you are.
Okay. And Asema, how do you make relatives pay the formal tools, the loans that you've talked about? How do you make them pay?
What I've said is, if they don't pay, they lose the moral platform to come for more.
Okay.
And maybe that's secure. Okay. How do you get them to pay? Formally. Just formally. Write it down. Have a loan agreement. Yes. Remind them like your bank reminds you. If they don't pay, that's okay. But they will not come back to you.
At least
the problem becomes a sinking hole when you don't have any formal arrangement.
At least you have a bargaining ground.
Yes, you have a bargain. You create. People don't like that formality if they are not serious.
That's why you're telling them you should be talking to Mama and then you talk
They,
to...
they don't have to talk to Mama. They will talk to me, but the money will come from Mama.
Oh,
Yes.
you talk to me
I'll
and then
talk to
Mama
me, yeah.
gives
But
you.
now they don't want that story.
Okay.
Because if they are genuine and legit, they don't have a problem whether the money came from Mama. They needed help. But if they are not legit, and a lot of them are not, sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've talked about the millennials who have embraced this lifelong duty. What about the Gen Zs? They are pushing for other financial boundaries, which are not sitting pretty with the current generation. They feel like these ones are losing the way.
It's a transgeneration changes. Things keep changing. If you look at our grandfathers, they stayed in the village together with his 10 wives and all his big hoard of family. Is that a reality we can practice today?
Not really.
No. So every generation has different things. What's happening to Gen Z, we need to understand. They're becoming what we call atomized, more individualistic. And that's the reality of the world they live in. So as we go into the future, we will have to stay with that reality. And that's why I say, if you're a parent of a Gen Z or Gen Alpha, don't expect support from them.
I wish we could continue with this discussion, but either way, we have to go. Remind them of the number and then we give them a closing remark.
Thank you very much. And thank you, listeners, for participating. It's a hot subject, but this is what we need to deal with. And we are grateful you asked us to discuss it. And so we hope we've given you a good discussion. And tell us what else you need to discuss, and we'll actually be able to look at that. But in the meanwhile, if you want to make sure that you equip yourself better financially, what you need is financial literacy. You need more understanding, more knowledge. And that's why I'm inviting you tonight. We have a masterclass. And today we're going to look at how to measure financial progress. And then later in the week, we're going to look at how to deal with debt. And you can get yourself a link. All you need to do is send a text or WhatsApp to 0708 150 137, and somebody on the other side will send you that link so that you join us today between 7 and 9 in the evening.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wahome, for your time. Always a pleasure. And have a good day.
Thank you. Good day and a great week.
Thank you. Stand by for the news coming up in a short while.